All right, so today we are going back over and we're going to start to delve deeper into some of the sketch tools and 3D featured tools here this week. So going ahead with this week's activity, it says that we're going to create a L-shaped sketch onto the front plane. So I'm going to kind of walk through as we select this now, and I'm going to show you, we're going to talk about different line types and geometry constraints as well as dimensional constraints and the difference between them. So at this point, I'm just going to kind of do some lines here, and we're going to get this kind of funky crazy shape here. So there's our funky crazy shape. So it doesn't matter to me, and I am just really kind of doing this to show you some objects and show you some things here in terms of the constraints. So first off, we know in order to get an L-shaped constraint, so we need to have things parallel and perpendicular to each other, and we also need to have horizontal and vertical type lines. So if you'll notice right now, we do have a perpendicular constraint between these two lines, and this line has a horizontal constraint put on it. So now notice as we kind of hover over, you can find the midpoint of each of these lines just kind of by moving up along the line, and that will also help you to find the midpoint. So anytime you see that triangle, that gives you the midpoint of that line. So if you come along here, kind of put it where you think the midpoint should be, and you should automatically pick up on each midpoint there as well. So now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and we're going to apply some horizontal and vertical constraints here. So I select that button, and I definitely want that line to be vertical, and I want this line to be horizontal. So notice how they kind of fall in line there. Now, I also am going to come over here with a perpendicular constraint because I want a perpendicular constraint between here and there. So notice how it automatically drives that perpendicularity. And the same thing applies to here and here. I could do that as well. Or instead of the perpendicular constraint, maybe I apply the parallel constraint here. So I'm going to say I want this line to be parallel to that. And notice how now we're seeing the parallel constraint, we're seeing the perpendicular constraint, we're seeing a horizontal constraint here and a vertical constraint there. So those are what we refer to as geometric constraints. But now we're also going to apply some dimensional constraints. So when we go in here, we're going to apply some dimensions. And I believe that the assignment says we want the width of this part to be 2 inches. So we'll apply that. And we want the height of this part to be 1.5. Now, notice how things have kind of stayed in place, so we're not too worried about these dimensional constraints. Are going to kind of pull things in for us and kind of make this what we want. So the each of these legs are going to be a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to change this now. Notice when I drew that, or when that kind of got moved around, it became a line with a line length of 2.2. Now I'm actually applying a dimensional constraint. I'm saying that this line can only be a 1/2 inch or 0.5 long, and that pulls that in and is now kind of dimensionally constraining the length of that line. Let's do the same thing here. So, and this one is also going to be 0.5. So now I've got everything dimensionally constrained here on this part. And we've got our L-shaped sketch. The next step that we're going to take then is to create some fillets. So as you're looking up here, so we're wanting a 1/4 inch fillet up in this corner. So I can either select the very corner, or if I don't have a corner to select, I can select the lines. 2 ways to do it. So I'm going to select this corner, and then I got to physically type in 0.25. Now, before I exit out of this, if I wanted to do the same, I could go ahead and make other lines here that would be that same 1/4 inch here as well, but that's good for this one, so I'm just going to hit enter to place that constraint. Let's do the same thing now. I need uh, a 1/2 inch radius here. So when it's saying that on this corner we want a 3/8 radius, and then in here we want a 3/4 inch radius. So let me right click, repeat the fillet. So we're gonna do a 0.375, a 3/8 radius there, and let's repeat this, and in this corner, this is going to be a 3/4 inch or 0.75. So now I've got these radii placed. Now notice there is some additional terminology here. So we have a round, so any outside radii are called rounds. Any inside radius is called a fillet. So it's just some of the terminology here that we have behind this. All right, so the next tool that we're going to use then will be the move copy tool. So I'm going to stop this video. This shows us and gives us the start of the sketching tool using our geometric constraints and using the actual fillet tool here in Fusion.